Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that believeth on me hath everlasting life. So that goes right along with it. And but being raised up at the last day. So we compare to read. We read where Jesus was reading. We see what the last day was talking about. And so there's going to be a great move of God in the last day, yes, with Joshua and Caleb, yes, and the ones they're leading. Not Moses. Moses himself was not allowed to go into the promised land. And we're not talking about going to heaven. We're talking about taking over this world with the truth briefly. Well, briefly, but it will go on forever. But we're going to reach many souls in a quick way. Yes. Praise God. All right, let's see. Back in Timothy, where our lesson is. And I had left off on that verse 21. I charge thee before God and the Lord Jesus Christ and the elect angels that thou observe these things without preferring one before another, doing nothing by partiality. Well, I'll gain friends, or I'll gain people that'll love me if I'll just tell them I need them to do this or that and the other. No. Lord, what would you have? Yes. And not by partiality. Lay hands suddenly on no man, and that would be, well, really, we shouldn't, I guess, just walk up and even pray for somebody that was suddenly. But now, lay hands suddenly on no man, don't do them harm, and so forth. All right.
Brother Frazier, the elect angels.
The elect angels.
Yeah, that last verse is talking about the elect angels.
Verse before this.
Yeah, there it is.
Right, did I miss a verse? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just was thinking that might be better to expand on what angels are talking about.
All right, the elect angels, they are the children of God. They're not Michael and Gabriel type angels. They are the children of God, the elect angels. I had mentioned it before a while ago, but
we did.
And
what about the pastors of the church?
Yes, they'll be included with the elect angels.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with the evil angels.
No, no. These are elect angels. And for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So he's talking about God's people.
Right.
All right, the elect angels. Yes. And so they are the children of God that serve in the Lord. I can read that over. Verse 21. I charge thee before God and the Lord Jesus Christ and the elect angels that thou observe these things without preferring one before another, doing nothing by partiality, and then lay hands suddenly on no man, neither be partaker of other men's sins, and keep yourself pure. Drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities. What kind of wine is he talking about?
Grape juice.
All right, as when you get to the wine press, you're stepping on the grapes and mashing the juice out of the grape, but it's called a wine press, but it's getting the juice out of the grapes. And you can't get fresher juice than that, and it's called wine press. But then there is a fermented wine. All right, go ahead.
In many countries, the water is not safe to drink, so it could have been that the water was making Timothy sick.
Yeah, because of the bacteria.
Yeah, somehow the water was a problem for him. Yeah. And so Timothy, with the water problem, when he drank the water, it was probably making his stomach worse. Verse 23, notice that. 1 Timothy 5, verse 23, drink no longer water, but use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities. Use a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities. Let me give you a couple of verses. Turn to Proverbs. And
yeah, but they're talking about it in full strength.
What is that now?
That verse is talking about wine in full strength.
Okay, let me give you some about all of it. All right, we'll try to
About how
get.
it looks in the glass.
We'll try to get all of it. Let's see. Turn to Proverbs chapter 20. We can use that one first. And
The one that's a mocker.
okay, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging. Whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. So wine is a mocker.
Yeah.
Should we stay absolute, have an absolute staying away from wine? Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging.
It could be addictive.
All right, it could be that when it's juice, it'd be juice. Now, one of the first miracles the Lord worked was at the wedding, and He changed the water into wine. He said they were all well drunken. Now, if it was all well drunken, it was fermented wine, that all undoubtedly be well drunk also.
They don't get drunk off of grape
All right,
juice.
so would Jesus change the water into wine so they can just really be a slush or whatever?
No.
You know?
That's really controversial.
No, he would not.
All right, so Jesus then wouldn't just change the water into wine for them to get more drunken and whatever. But all right, so I would think the 120 gallons of water was.
Ooh, Lord.
And the wine, it was water changed into wine. I don't believe it would make him drunk. I don't think so, but anyway, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging. Whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. Is that from Solomon or is that from God?
Well, it's definitely, if it's written in the Bible, it has something to do with the Lord.
All right, that'd be from
That
God,
is-
wouldn't
so
it?
that's
Even though
a-
Solomon said it, it still would be from God.
Yes.
That's right.
But it still would be very good advice.
Okay, turn to Proverbs 23, verse 29. And we read through a few of these verses, that fermented wine is like an adder or, say, a rattlesnake.
Lord.
Drinking fermented wine be like being bit by a rattlesnake
Bit by a snake, that's for sure.
or an adder. Let's see, chapter 23, verse 29. Who hath woe? All right, and he's going to tell you the people that drinks fermented wine. If you're drinking fermented wine, you're getting drunk, you got woe. Who hath sorrow? Who hath contentions, fights without reason? Who hath babblings? Who hath wounds without cause? Who hath redness of eyes? They that tear long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine, look not thou upon the wine when it is red, when it give itself color and it moveth itself aright. That I would say is fermenting. All right, verse 32. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder. So the fermented wine would be like getting bit by a poisonous snake. All right, should we stop there? Is that enough?
333.
Sure it is.
Read 33.
Yeah.
Thine eyes shall behold the strange women, and thy heart shall utter perverse things as you are getting drunk.
Yeah.
All right. Let me give you more to this. See what you think. Let's see. Turn over to chapter 31. But now still we've got other things that we could use rather than wine and so forth. Let's verses 4 through 7. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, because they get drunk and they can't give the right judgments. Verse 5, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish. Somebody that's dying. Now they're going to use it here like a sedative,
Or a painkiller.
Wow.
a painkiller. They're using the strong drink like a painkiller, sedative. And give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. All right, so here it could be used like a sedative, but I would encourage you these days, if you've got problems,
Read the Bible.
go to the druggist and get
Read the Bible.
go to the doctor and let him prescribe something for you, for your nerves or whatever. All right, but anyway, the Bible doesn't say it's wrong. So Paul was telling Timothy, drink no longer water, but drink a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities. I would hope it would be just the juice. That's what I would hope.
Yeah.
But now, I
Unfermented.
guess it could have been possible that if he was in misery and real trouble, it could have been possibly used as a sedative.
Well, there's two things that they use wine. They use wine and oil to treat cuts to kill the bacteria that help it heal. And what I think they're talking about is to mix water with wine. It would kill the bacteria, but it would lessen the effect of the wine.
All right. I was just, he told Timothy, drink no longer water, but drink a little wine for thy stomach's sake and thine often infirmities. I just thought I'd give you a little bit more on the wine, so that you can, that it's been told for somebody that's dying, you know, and they're in pain and misery and so forth, and then he was saying there, give them a little bit of wine or something so that it can help them through their problems.
For myself, I'm not going to drink wine or liquor or anything else like that because of the effect it does. It clouds your mind. It lessens your judgment. There's a lot of things that's bad about it. I can't tell someone else not to do that, but I sure would recommend they don't.
All right, I have never drank wine myself, except one time, as far as I remember, that they had it in communion, and I didn't want to offend them or whatever, and I went ahead and drank the wine during little glass of wine during communion. But I had a man that was an ex-drunk. He said he can't drink the wine. He was a wino, so to speak, and if he were to drink a little bit of wine, it would set him loop, and then be back on the wine, the way he put it. All right, but I've never been drunk on wine or liquor or anything else. But now that one time I did drink in church with the other preachers, and that they believe that you ought to have wine. And at that time I went ahead and drank that little glass of wine with them. But that's the only time I ever did that. And
I don't find fault with that.
you don't find fault with it?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, let's see. Well, it's time to stop, I guess. Well, we got about 3 verses, didn't we?
That's all, yeah.
We
We're
got
on
about 3
24.
verses, so
Yeah, 24. We're on 24, Pastor Frazier. Read
we're on
it.
24.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we'll start up at 24 and go ahead and read
Oh, Lord.
6. All right, how many verses we got left?
2.
2. Oh, we got 2 verses.
Yeah.
All right, is that what you're telling me then?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Just go ahead.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
see. I guess we can.
You can start off at 22, but read it so we know what
24.
Okay, let's see. I guess I'll halfway skim over these last 2 verses. Verse 24, some men's sins are opened beforehand, going before to judgment, and some men they follow after. What does that mean? They're going to judgment. Some men's sins are open beforehand, going before to judgment. What is that?
They're going to take them sins that they have on to judgment day.
All right, their sins are open. They're not trying to hide them. They're just a sinner and so forth, and they're taking their sins open. And some men they follow after. They follow after. Who is that they follow after? What is that?
Be not deceived. You sow what you reap, or you reap what you sow.
Yeah.
All right, some men's their sins will follow after. It won't be made known until later.
Yeah.
They sin. Some people sin open, and then some people will hide it, and they're going to judgment. Then it will follow them later, because it's been well hid.
Yeah, but they'll still be found out.
Yeah.
Okay, verse 25. Likewise also the good works of some are manifest beforehand. What is that?
That's likewise the truth will follow them. And you
Right,
can't,
likewise also the good works of some are manifest, made known beforehand,
Yeah.
before the judgment.
Yeah.
And so it's well seen and well known, and they that are otherwise can't be hid.
no,
All right,
because,
so they don't, somebody else doesn't, they do good works, but they don't let it be known.
That's right. That's a good
But
thing.
then at judgment, then the Lord will make it known.
Yeah.
Amen.
They've been
Amen.
doing good works all the time, and you judge them.
Yeah.
You've told all kind of bad things about them, and they was doing good all the time.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, Lord bless you. We're going to chapter 6.
Yes.
Yeah, chapter 6 of 1 Timothy. Well, it's been a good study.
Yes, it was.
And we made, what was it, made 4 verses? We made verses. That was great. That's good. Praise.
That was good version.
Okay, let us stand.